everyone, and welcome to the Today's the Day Changemakers podcast. I am your host, Jody Grunwald, and we are off to part 2 of the episode titled The Man Behind the Mask with Ciarán Sheehan, actor, singer, voice healer, just a truly, truly beautiful human who is so super talented. And through the work that he's been doing within himself, he's able to share so much also of what he has worked on to get himself to the place where he is today. So you may have seen him in the Phantom of the Opera. He is performing all over with the Four Phantoms, and he is just an incredible human being who really goes deep and shares his experiences from abuse as a child that he received from someone who was a trusted adult to a near-fatal car crash here in New Jersey. It has been a very interesting life for Ciarán Sheehan, and I'm grateful for him sharing all of the things that he has been through. And I'm so always so happy to have Scott Chesney on with me as my special guest co-host, the Commander-in-Change life coach extraordinaire, and he is a phenomenal motivational speaker. So here we are in part 2. Take a listen of all the work that Ciarán's doing now, and we hope that you will like, comment, share this podcast. And whether you go to the Today's the Day Changemakers YouTube channel or you stream this on any of the platforms, we hope you will share this information with someone who may need to hear a nugget of it. You know, we hope that we leave you with a motivation, something that you can do today to bring yourself closer to your goals in every single episode as you listen to the lessons learned from my guests. Thank you again for listening in the 866 cities around the globe, and take a listen to the rest of the part 2 of The Man Behind the Mask. Have a great week, everyone.
I left the third national tour, and the plan was I was coming to New York, and Hal wanted to teach me the Phantom track himself. He didn't want a stage manager or someone else teaching it. So I came in, and we started doing some work on it. And then he said, listen, one of the other Phantoms that I work with now was moving to the San Francisco company. And so come on in, we'll go through the format, the formula or the format of auditioning for the role. And I did. And he pulled me to the side after the audition. And he said, I'm not going to give it to you. And I was like, what? He said, yeah. He said, something is talk about listening to messages. I'm waving my finger at you. He said, something is telling me, he says, I know the type of actor you are. He said, if you weren't the actor you were, he said, I wouldn't worry about it. He said, but I know how you operate. You're full in, because when I'm on stage, it's not acting. It's real for me, So he said, something is telling me that there's something going on here. And the whole psychosexual dynamic between the father figure and between Christine and the Phantom, he said, something is telling me you got to figure something out here. And I left the Majestic and went to the 42nd Street train station, and the C train was coming southbound down into 42nd, I guess from 50th Street. And I thought, I'm going to step in front of this train. And then I heard my son's name, and I stepped back, and I called my therapist, and I told, of course I was making it about the audition, about losing the role of the Phantom, So they said, listen, you need somebody better than us, or, better than, I was seeing 2 therapists at the time. And so I went to another doctor and said, yeah, you're definitely suicidal. And we're going to put you on some medication. I was on it for 2 weeks. And then in a session, it all came back. And I think, so I'm not a big proponent of SSRIs or any of these kind of, because I don't know what else they're doing to us, but some reason it worked for me in that I think my psyche was ready to deal with the memories because I had the medication, and it all came back just flooding back. And you know, it was a horror show, and it took a long time. Like even when so I called Hal and I told him what was going on, and he was really glad that I had, figured out what was underneath the surface that I could start to deal with. And that fall, when the Phantoms in New York took a leave of absence, and Hal said, "Do you want to go on?" And I said, "Absolutely." And then he called the producer in Canada and said, because Colin Wilkinson, the original Jean Valjean, was leaving the show. And they had a guy come fill in who had done the show in England for a bit, to fill in until they found someone. And Hal called this guy, Garth Drabinsky, in Toronto, and said, "Before you hire anyone, you need to come down and see Ciarán in the role." And I did. And so I'd say probably for the next, oh gosh, 3-4 years, maybe, I couldn't walk by a church without feeling I was going to vomit. And which is so strange, because 3 of my mom's sisters are nuns. 2 of them have passed since, and her brother's a priest. And it's been a long journey, but what I realized was, and I didn't realize how much of it I was carrying, because I got myself into a really nasty car accident where I left my body. My back was broken in 3 places. And I just wanted out. I didn't want to deal with it. And that was before all those memories came back. And I finally got to the place where I thought, I need to forgive him. And I did, and what I realized was that in some bizarre way, what I could change what he did to me into gold. And when I say gold, I mean energetically, that I could turn it into something good, because there are so many people out there in the world who've been through this, who feel like they can't get past it, that they're alone in the world. And that's, I think, one of the biggest things. Like I've done some workshops for survivors, and I don't even like the bloody word survivor, but I much prefer it to victim, and where people, I remember, and I told Scott this recently, I said this, I was doing one of these, an evening of telling stories and sharing music, and at the end of it, this woman in her 70s came up, and she said to me, when she was like 12, I think 12 or 13, she was abused by an uncle, and she never told anyone ever, and she'd never done anything about it, and something told her to go that night. And her saying that she didn't feel alone anymore was such a gift for me. It's so funny. We do these, we do what we do, whatever that is, that voodoo, that you do, that we do what we do, and people are like, "Oh, you're so generous," and I think, not really, because it makes me feel good, and I get great joy out of helping people, and so that's in a way sort of selfish on my part, I wonder if I would do it, if I would do the same if it had no effect on me, but it does, and I'm grateful for that. I do know that, up until, and I'm bouncing all over the bloody place here, I was kind of a sociopath up until my early to mid 20s. It's going to sound crazy. I thought about becoming a hitman because I sort of felt nothing. I'm not the biggest guy, but I'm like stupidly strong. I'm pretty well trained in different martial arts. And I thought I could do that. No problem. And what I didn't realize at the time was that I was just completely shut down. and because of what I'd been through. And it was actually acting that sort of reopened my heart a bit. And then Hal's sort of messengering me into another place, which changed me in a whole other, put me in a whole other, I guess, expansive place, and made me a more empathetic person. And which has opened up a whole other world of healing for me, and I met James Van Praagh then in 2009, and that whole other world sort of opened up to me, and learned about this healing practice that I do, where I do incorporate some sounds. Sometimes it's singing, sometimes it's growling, and honestly, sometimes I'm thinking, you're not doing anything, you're full of baloney, but people say they're moved and they feel things shift, and they'll say that they went through an experience as they're lying on the table that I've seen. So I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, that's what I saw, and that in some ways is more gratifying than selling out Carnegie Hall, yeah, I don't know if I think I said it to you the other day, that as a kid I wanted to be a priest. It's why I started singing. When Father Bert came into class, second grade, and he said, "Who wants to join the choir?" And I was like, "Me," because I wanted to be a priest. I didn't know what the heck the choir was. I thought it was the kids helping out on the altar. So I wanted to be an altar boy, but I didn't know the title. And so, go down to the sacristy after school and sing this, sing this, sing this. I'm like, and all I'm thinking is, when the hell are we going on the altar? Bells, man. Next thing I know, I'm in the choir, and a couple of weeks later, I'm an altar boy. But as a kid, I suppose there was a part of me. Well, I wanted to be a priest because I guess there's always been this part of me that wanted to help other people who feel lost, and I think a lot of that came from my parents sending me to Ireland and making me feel unwanted, not intentionally. My mother was actually kind of trying to protect me from, how rough the house was at that age. And but all of those things in our lives, that we come across, that we deal with, that change who we are, and hopefully we are able to, at some point, look at them and realize they're all gifts to bring. So even that priest was a huge gift in my life,
Can I just ask you a quick question
Yeah,
before you?
please.
Yeah,
I
have a couple.
Shut up.
No, I don't want you to shut up. It's so important that we give you this space, because you're sharing things that people will be able to relate with. But I just wanted to ask you something. How old were you when this abuse took place?
That was I suppose, made it harder because I was a teenager, which made it made me feel more stupid.
Now, did this person, was he, punished for this?
Well, in the way that the Catholic Church tends to punish them and move them from here to here to here to here to here. This guy had been at Boston College, numerous parishes in New Jersey, down to Tennessee. Yeah, he was one of their more notorious guys, and they tried to move him all over the country. And it was at a time when they were really trying to hide things.
Yeah.
What's kind of interesting is that so I was in high school. It was after I came back here, in high school, and there was a priest at the chaplain in the high school. Great guy, great. We are still friends to this day. His name's Walter Nolan, Monsignor Nolan, and now his life. Somebody needs to make a movie about this cat's life, because he grew up in Jersey City. tough Irish kid, started boxing, met a girl, invited her to the fights, went to one or two fights, and she pulled him aside, said, I can't date you anymore. I can't watch you do that. And he said, I'll quit. And he went back to school, became a pharmacist. They got married. And there he goes.
Oh.
I think your story's better.
Well, they got married, had a kid, and both were killed tragically.
Oh,
And he became a priest.
wow. That was his reason for becoming a priest.
Yeah.
My
And he's the
gosh.
kindest
Oh, my
man.
goodness.
Oh, and but he was a tough guy. So in high school, you know, God, and this is again, you know, you feel stupid later, but this guy happened to be a religion teacher in the school, and the guy that, you know, I dealt with, and
Mhm.
I'll never forget. We were in class one day, and there was one guy in class that all the girls were like, "Oh, he's so cute." He was like Scott, you know what I mean? That kind, you know, the cute football player. So, and there was a girl in the class who, you know, she may not be the first girl people would ask out on a date. Okay, does that make sense? You know, and he put this kid, I can't remember his name now, and I wouldn't say it anyway. I would embarrass him, but if you saw this, would you ever go out with her? You know, and it was just an awful thing to do in a classroom, you know, and anywhere.
Oof.
And my friend, Father Nolan, heard about it. He pulled him I didn't find this out till years later, pulled him into a classroom, opened a window, pushed him out the window, said, you do that again to one of my kids in this school, I will drop you, you know. And so we're still great pals. He's a great man. And he's down the shore.
Oh, we might have to get him on this podcast and share his
Oh,
incredible story.
he used to host his own weekly kind of podcast like before anyone was doing it. And
Wow.
yeah, great guy.
So then you'll
Anyway,
have to co-host. You'll have to co-host, Ciarán.
There you go.
Ron, I think did I answer your question or did I go?
No, I'm sure no. I got to ask you this. Then this
Yeah.
might be a whole nother episode, Ciarán, because I know you know this, and we've kind of touched upon this in our discussions. Is that ultimately it's about forgiving yourself, and I wanted to know. Well,
Can I tell
again,
you a story?
you're sharing your story, but I want to let you know is that you are teaching us as well what we need to do in terms of practicing forgiveness. And I know you would say there's no one out there that you shouldn't be able to forgive, but ultimately it's about forgiving yourself too, which is the most difficult.
So right.
I'm not sure how to. Gosh, I don't even know the bloody word. So I'm just going to say it this way. I had a nightmare a number of years ago that went on for hours. And the nightmare was that I had killed someone very dear to me. And I was in a campground, you know, and they were in this car nearby. And I couldn't go near the car because if I went to the car, I would see the horror that I had committed. And everything was gray. Everything was just, there was no color anywhere. And I was doing my best to come out of the nightmare, and I kept getting messages, no, this is hell, and this is where you're going to be forever. And when you're not in this place, it's all like a matrix, you know. And I kept hearing music in my head that got louder and louder and louder, and it crescendoed in my head, and then it went to a silent like point. It just went shoom, and I heard a voice say, it wasn't your fault. you know. And and as soon as that was said, the color went everywhere. Everything was filled with color and so beautiful. And I remember that I realized I hadn't killed someone that was, well, but I hadn't killed who I thought I'd killed. I had killed myself. And it was me that was dead in that car, which is funny because that's where I got, I was killed in the car crash in Asbury Park. I never thought about that until just now, but I suppose there was a part of me that was killed, my innocence was taken away, but it wasn't my fault. And that was like such weight, off the shoulders, and to be able to get to that place of it wasn't your fault. And that is a very difficult place to be in, to be blaming, to be able to unburden yourself of what you're carrying. Does that make sense?
I still find it amazing how, and your stories, like right there with how in the world could he ever blame himself? But whatever takes place in who we say, okay, we got to forgive this person, we got to forgive this person. In some way, we always insert ourselves into the narrative and saying like, I did something wrong. And like, it's amazing that it's like almost like putting pressure on yourself. I mean, I know it's to the umpteenth degree.
I think it was harder because I was older,
Yeah.
and I thought, how did you not see that coming? How stupid are you?
As a teenager, as compared to like a little kid, like you're old enough to know.
Yeah.
If you've heard something in this episode that has really resonated with you, I hope that you will take a moment to share it with those that you know. Give them the opportunity to hear a message that belongs to them as well. You can follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Today is the Day Live It. And don't forget, subscribe to our Today's the Day Changemakers YouTube channel to be notified when new episodes come out, new stories are shared, new nuggets of information can really truly have an impact in all of our lives. That's why I love sharing these kinds of stories, changemaker stories, people who are doing incredible things in their corner in the world and beyond, and sharing their lessons learned as they continue to move through life. And don't forget, you could stream this on all streaming platforms. I share here that, I, in my early 20s, was in an abusive relationship. I blamed myself for a long time. You're an adult. I'm an adult. I'm over 18. I should know better if I'm not being treated correctly. And yet that's how we cope. Almost. It's easier because we can fix ourselves. We can't fix another person. And so I don't know if that's how you felt through this, but I know for myself, it was, I could fix me. So if it's me who's the problem, then I'll just fix myself. In your case, you're blaming yourself because how could I not see this? This makes perfect sense now. And the issue is, and Scott, you said it so perfectly before, we have to find ways to forgive ourselves when the things that happen to us are not our faults, and be able to say, this is not my fault.
Yeah. Yeah. And I suppose the fact that I was such an unhappy kid, and I wanted the help. Do you know what I mean? So when the help was offered, and then it became about, you're not going to get better. These thoughts of killing yourself are not going to go away until I torture you.
Yeah. And can I just insert this here? Because I feel like it's very important that I say this to our listeners. There is always help out there for you. There is always help out there for you. I will make sure that there are phone numbers put in the opening of this, as well as on the YouTube channel. There are phone numbers for all types of help. So just so you know, if you can't do it alone, that's okay. Because there's people out there.
In thinking about that, and thinking about how people don't want to, are afraid to reach out for help. How we operate energetically, the lowest vibration before death is shame. So people who get stuck in shame. In fact, on my I cannot tell you how much of the healing work that I do the type of work that I do, it's called IET, and go through different areas of the body, trying to release what's stuck, because what we don't process, we store away. We either make ourselves sick or, and I cannot tell you how much gets stuck in the throat chakra, and we tend to hold shame and expressing and clearing that. It sometimes for me, it's like hitting a brick wall, and people do not want to let go, of that. And
Ciarán, you know what's interesting that you say that
yeah, brother.
with regards to the throat chakra?
Yeah.
Is that gets to what Jody was getting to in terms of not having to figure this thing called life out on your own. So if you're not talking about it, if you're not sharing it, you're keeping it stored.
Yep.
So when you talk about the blockage being there, it absolutely makes sense.
Yep. 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 Yeah, and I think we're not supposed to do these things on our own. And I think that, what is the phrase, when two or more are gathered in my name, there is love, that maybe some of these things that happen to us are a way to force us to connect with each other, and which is beautiful.
Yeah.
It is.
I think it's
Tell
tough,
everybody.
though,
Sorry.
No, I was
Sorry,
going to say,
Scott.
I think this is where I think the struggle happens, is that there are things that present itself in life that we should be doing ourselves, and we should work through it, because we're only with ourselves 24 hours a day. And I think those things that ultimately you're the one who has to take action.
Yeah.
But then there's other things along the way that could lead to you to taking better action by getting the help that's needed.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I just think there's this tug of war. Got to do this by myself. No, I need help. I got to do this by myself. I need help. And it's
And
just,
for men, I think it's tougher.
yep.
No offense to the smarter and better looking half of the population.
That's
Way to cover yourself. Good job, Ciarán.
But I, the toughen up stuff,
Yeah.
be a
Don't
man.
cry. Don't cry. Yeah. All of that.
That's
And
a whole nother episode.
Oh, it is. And we should do an episode on that. But you know what I think it really does come down to, and I talk a lot about this too on the podcast, is one word: judgment. We are so quick to judge ourselves. We are our worst critic. And so if you're in that shame space and you're judging the shame and judging yourself, and how can you possibly share this because other people will judge you and look down upon you? And there goes your entire ego and force field of power. And you're looked at like a powerhouse outside to the rest of the universe. But internally, you've got this war going on, right? You're getting up in front of audiences of huge amount sizes. They're looking to you like this incredible, unbelievable talent. And you have this inner fight, you know what I mean, that you're dealing with, that you need to get through.
Relax. Sorry. Enough judgment out of you over there.
But I get on my high horse when it comes to judgment, because we all judge ourselves terribly and we judge each other terribly. And it's a terrible word.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's crippling, it's just, ugh.
It is. And so what does IET stand for those who are listening?
Sure. Integrated, it's not about speaking. Thank God he can sing. Integrated energy therapy. So, yeah.
So if people want to learn more,
it's, I suppose, in a way. So now we're getting to woo-woo land.
No.
It's kind of like Reiki is a little more of a physical thing. With IET, you're asking for help. So when I do a session on someone, I ask, for their guides, their loved ones have passed. Anybody who wants to help, help me to be a channel of your peace, to help them clear whatever's stuck. But I think a mistake that's often made in a lot of different modalities of healing is that, okay, we'll clear that. And then what? Well, you need to fill it, you can't leave it, you can't leave an empty spot there. So, as I'm clearing or helping, I'm not clearing, I'm just, I'm trying to be a good piece of copper wire, and let that love run through me, and fill those voids.
You talked about a minute ago about being a hitman. And I look at you and I hear you talk, and I'm like, you would have never made a good hitman. Thank goodness. Thank goodness. You have a heart and a soul, and your things touch you. Hitmen
Jody,
don't
I'm
have
not
any
sure
of that.
about that. Just as he asks you to call people in, I think if we had him on the table right now and we had called people in that knew him, people that would either like to hit him or would like him to be a hitman. One or
Yeah,
the other.
I was a handful when I was younger. I think I said to you the other day that I do a fundraising event for a guy named Teddy Atlas every year, who's Mike Tyson's original boxing trainer. And he hosts this fabulous dinner for underprivileged kids in New York. And I'm walking by Jerry Cooney. Scott, do you know Jerry Cooney, the boxer?
I've met him a bunch of times. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm walking by Jerry and he goes, fighter. And I go, well, not just street stuff, And I said, how could you tell? He said, your nose. I said, I got it fixed. He said, go back and get your money back.
It's hysterical.
I saw him a few months ago. I said, Jerry, I'm getting more mileage out of that smart ass line out of you.
So can I do a quick speed round with you of just a few quick questions?
Sure.
All right. Favorite person, famous, that you met that just took your breath away, gave you the best words of wisdom. Who is it?
Wow. Hal Prince.
Now, did I hear you say you met Katharine Hepburn?
Yes. I saved her life.
Okay, wait. Now we have to hear.
So
I got nothing, Jody.
I got nothing.
I saved Katharine Hepburn's life.
Yeah, okay, sure. Me
Okay.
too. No.
Carry on.
I'm gonna go to the bathroom now.
So Charlotte Moore, who runs the Irish Rep, was very good friends with Katharine Hepburn. So, and she was Kate, and to all of us, and she'd come to shows and blah blah blah. So we're doing our annual fundraiser for the Irish Rep, and this is going back. Gosh, this could be Chambers, could be 20 years ago. I don't know, 20, 25 years ago, and she's out at the podium, speaking, addressing the audience. I can't remember which theater we were in, the Schubert or which theater on Broadway, and she's leaning on the podium, and I'm on stage left in the wings, and Kieran O'Reilly's on stage right. And she was up there in years now, and she leans on the podium.
Oh
yeah. And I ran as fast as I possibly could and grabbed her right before she went over into the pit. And Ciarán was just like, grabbed her too, And I saved Katharine Hepburn's life.
That goes in the book that you need to write from all of these things, because we all can learn a lot of lessons from you. That is for sure. Favorite book?
Boy. Well, the first thing that popped in my head was Angela's Ashes, but so I'll go with that, by Frank McCourt. I mean, I'm biased because he was a friend, and he has spoken to me from the other side. So
good. We like it.
Jody, his answer is going to change though once his autobiography is out. That's going to be his favorite book because it's going to help a lot of people.
It is, without a doubt, going to help a lot of people. And favorite song?
Kashmir.
Wow, that was fast, right, Scott? That was a fast one.
When the last time I played Carnegie Hall, a lot of the union musicians in New York know me, or knew me from the Phantom Days, blah, 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 blah. I walk out to do my sound check. The string section starts going, da-na-na, 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 da-na-na. I was like, just shoot me now. I'm in Carnegie Hall and it's Zeppelin.
Oh my, that's amazing. Oh my gosh. So the next question is, where is Ciarán headed?
Wherever God leads me.
Good answer. Good answer. And where do people find you?
Under a bridge.
No,
Oh,
they want to connect with you.
www.Ciarán Sheehan, CIARANSHEEHAN.com. Although I'm the worst. Scott's got to straighten me out. I'm the worst with all of that, with social media and things like that. I guess yeah, I'm on Instagram. I don't know what I'm doing. And I'm on Facebook, and I don't know what I'm doing. So yeah,
Well,
I'm
for
not
someone who
doing
doesn't know
all
what
that
they're
stuff.
doing, he's doing a great job at it
Yeah.
because like he's connecting with people and everything all the time. So making a difference.
And I want to come see your show
Please.
before Phantoms. So I think February you mentioned was the next one.
I heard
No,
that
wait, Jody. No. Just put on PBS.
I
Bet you
want to
like
see it
even
in person.
tonight is gonna be, oh, in person? Okay, because I was just gonna say it's gonna be on like
Yeah.
every other day. He's like a bad rash. You can't get rid of him.
Oh no, I want to see the
I
in-person show.
agree. No, you
That's
gotta see him
better.
live. Gotta see him live.
Yes, absolutely. So I think February you might have
I
said is the
think we're going to be
closest.
in Princeton. I think we're in Princeton. I don't know what theater in February.
Great.
I haven't a clue what. I don't know what
Let's go, Jody. We're going.
Oh,
Let's
we're
go.
totally going, without
I'll
a
get good
doubt.
seating. I'll get such great seating.
I know you.
Just in case he falls off stage, we both can catch him.
Well,
There
there's
you
that.
go.
Getting up there a
And
little bit
just
too. in
bring
age.
a lot of fruit and vegetables, and a slingshot.
Is there anything we missed in this episode that you want to share with those who are listening?
Yeah. When I was in the car crash in Asbury Park, and I left my body, I remember thinking that I wasted my trip here. That even if we live 1,000 years, it's like that. And to go through life being angry and afraid is a complete waste of time. And life is supposed to be fun, and joyful and beautiful, and look for the beauty in the world, and it will come to you. But and it's a choice, between love and fear, and choose love. Look for the love in everything. Look for the beauty in everything. I remember thinking as I was watching my body getting tossed around inside of a Volkswagen Bug, that I had been on the greatest roller coaster that had ever been designed, and I wasted it being angry and afraid. And it's no way to go through life.
Because in a split second, anything can change.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
You'll hear me say what I say very soon at the end of every single podcast, and you'll see that it is very true. We only are given this moment. We know we say that, we all say it, but then we worry about, what we did and have regret from yesterday that we can't control. And then what's going to happen tomorrow? We don't even own that yet. And we live in worry and fear and regret. And it's this vicious cycle.
Yep.
So before I ask you the last question, I'm asking all of my guests, because I could stay on with you and Scott for days and go and talk so much more. But Scott, what would you like to share with the audience?
I think the more you can put yourself in the moment and not dwell in the past, not get preoccupied in the future, is that you will meet people like Ciarán, and you will meet people like Ciarán who will change your life, who will make you dig deeper to be a better version of yourself. And it's all around us. Again, he's unique, he's amazing, he's wonderful. But he would also tell you, but it's my chance now, is that when we're in the moment, we are being sent signs. We are being sent people constantly to help us move forward in our lives. And I'm just I'm just blessed to have him in my life. I'm blessed, truly blessed.
They always say I'm supposed to have tissues. I can't hand anybody tissues on a Zoom screen. I am always crying on this side. Everybody cries in their square. But
We
that's
talked about Starbucks being a sponsor. How about Kleenex? I mean,
yeah, I think we should go.
why not? Or both.
Or both. Both. That's the way to go.
That's funny.
Ciarán, what is the legacy you're creating right now that you want to leave behind?
Gosh. Now, when you say that, I think happy kids. You know, my kids being happy in the world. You know, and enjoying the ride.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Anything else?
Don't hide behind the mask.
That's what we're
Not
going to
even
call
that one up there.
Yes, I hope. Well, people who are listening to this via the Spotify and all the other things, need to go to the YouTube channel, because if you do, you'll get to see the mask that's behind Ciarán, and it's pretty cool to be able to see it. So, thank you for sharing that. That's awesome. So, I want to have you back again. I hope you'll come back again. Give us updates. We want to hear more.
I want to come back 4 more times because I want the jacket.
Oh, well, you're invited. You're totally invited. I love it. And I'm so grateful. Scott Chesney, Commander in Change, motivational speaker, life coach extraordinaire, and so much more. Thank you so much for being my co-host and bringing on incredible people on the show. Appreciate it so much.
Thank you, Jody. Thank you.
One more time, tell everybody where they can find you.
I'm laughing because I think he was doing it to make fun of me when they were asking how he could get to his www. You don't even have to do the W's anymore. Scott Chesney.
Well, that's how old I am. Come on, man.
So it's scottchesney.com. No relation to Kenny, but scottchesney.com. You can find everything, social media handles, everything there. Well,
the funny part is you mentioned that because you spoke at one of my other events and people asked me, is he any relation to? And I said, no. I
get very insulted by that because I have far more hair than he does. He might have a few more dollars in his pocket, but my top of my head's much thicker than his right now.
I think you're so very, very much more motivational for sure in the speaking that you do. So I'm blessed to know you, my friend. That's for sure. So thank you so much for all you've given to me. I appreciate that very much. And then Ciarán Sheehan. I'm so blessed that Scott has brought you into my world and into the world of those who will be listening. Thank you so much for sharing your very incredible story, but bringing out your vulnerability and sharing that with us as well.
My pleasure. And thank you. I'm grateful for you. So thank you, Scott.
So I'm going to say what I say at the end of every single podcast. Today is the day. You cannot go back to yesterday, and you do not yet own tomorrow. So what small steps are you taking today? Small or large steps are you taking today to get yourself closer to your goals? Thank you so much to Scott and Ciarán, and have a great week, everyone. I want to thank my very special guest on this 2-part series, the man behind the mask himself, Ciarán Sheehan, the man who was in 1,000 productions of the Phantom of the Opera as the Phantom. He shared his incredible journey about that one day on a train platform where he was handed a phone number by chance that changed the trajectory of his entire life. Although he's had an incredible journey, there were parts along the way that were hard and challenging. And we all have that happen in our life. And that's why sharing these stories, the lessons learned by these incredible everyday change makers, they can provide all of us a little bit of insight, a little bit of motivation, and keep us determined to go after our dreams and the things that we want to happen. Make sure that you realize that today is the day, and every little step can bring you closer to whatever that goal is just for you. And thank you so much to Scott Chesney, the Commander in Change, as he is known, an exceptional life coach, motivational speaker. He has been part of this podcast now for several times. He's almost getting his jacket on the 5th one coming up soon. And we just ask that if you did find something here, something that you're taking with you, share that with others. Share this podcast with others. Please comment, like, share. Go to the Today's the Day Changemakers YouTube channel and subscribe. It helps this podcast to be heard by others. And also, don't forget, you can also stream on all platforms. And if you haven't yet, please go to our Facebook and Instagram pages. They are at Today is the Day. Live it, because today is the day. And you cannot go back to yesterday, and you do not yet own tomorrow. So take a step today to get yourself closer to your goals. See you next week, everyone.